Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and welcome to today's session. How are you doing? I pray that all is well with you and your families at this time. So we're continuing with our wonderful discussion on inspiration series during this COVID time, the pandemic, and we're studying the life of Arjuna during the difficulty that he had. And finally, we've come today after all the days of fighting with the mind. We've finally come to the moment now where Arjuna is approaching Krishna as a disciple and saying, please accept me as a disciple and teach me about life. The Aryan culture is guiding one on the process of life. And that process of life is based on self-realization. And the practical application of that is how to perfect material life and how to perfect spiritual life. And the reason it's complete because it's a practical application to combine spiritual and material life in a very practical way. Life has to be practical. If it's just philosophical, now what's the meaning of Bhagavad Gita? So it's not only spiritual life, it's also being practical about material life. And that's why we have Bhagavad Gita as a manual to life, the process of life. And why is that? Because if it was only material life, then we don't feel satisfied. And if it's only spiritual life, then we don't fit into the world. So it has to have a balance of both the material and the spiritual. And that's why the Aryan culture is the perfect culture for humanity, because it combines the both. It makes spirituality and practical life possible. Because it takes a philosophy of life and makes it practical to adapt to the current circumstances we're in, especially the pandemic. And at the same time, it's aware that if our energy is only focused there, then material life never gives us satisfaction and fulfillment. So it balances that with spiritual practice as well. So both have to be there. If it's only material, then we don't feel satisfaction and fulfillment. And if it's only spiritual, then we don't fit into the world. So we need a balance of both where we are as practical people of this world at the moment, until we evolve our consciousness more spiritually, higher and higher, where we can actually transcend and be situated in our true constitution as the spirit soul, act on that platform, live on that platform, be established on that platform. So once that is there, then the norms of this world, the trivials of this world won't be relevant to us. But right now it is very relevant. So that's why Bhagavad Gita is the most practical handbook to assess the process of life. So the process by which it does this is firstly making us aware of the mind. That if we only make decisions from the mind and through the senses, that which we see, and accept that as reality, then we're going to be in the same situation that Arjuna is in right now. So how do we balance it? We need spiritual guidance. And that's why in today's verse, we need a spiritual master. Somebody who can help us see the world for what it is and not bigger than what it is. He's actually a personality who has mastered material and spiritual life. If we just make decisions based on the mind, then that is materialism. And if we just make decisions based on spirituality, then it doesn't become practical to live within this world. Then we become avadut, somebody who's transcended and lives beyond the norms of society. Then it can't be practical. So if Bhagavad Gita is a practical book, it must have the balance of both. Therefore, the intermediate between these two worlds is the spiritual master. Somebody who's mastered material life and somebody who's also a very dear devotee of Krishna. So such a person can then guide you from wherever you are to reach a balanced state and a much more holistic, complete life from wherever you are currently. By teaching you how to understand where you are, assess yourself, know who you are, know yourself, and assess yourself, and how to improve and refine your identity, and how to improve and refine yourself to bring out the best in you, the best of both worlds, spiritual and material. Devotees, are we seeing how deep Prabhupada's purports are? Only when we read it carefully, word by word like this, can you actually appreciate what he has packed into these purports This is really a diamond mine. And if we go through it carefully under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, we can see the great tools that he has hidden in between these words to help us with the process of life and how to deal with life. That's why we owe so much to Srila Prabhupada. If we read his books on a superficial way, we'll get a superficial understanding and our life will be superficial. But if we read his writings in a deep way, we'll get a deep understanding and our life will become deep. We'll have wisdom. And it's only through wisdom that we can go through the process of life, because that's what really counts. So we've just been through the whole process with Arjuna of his indecision, because his life was based on what he understood from his mind, indecision. But now in today's verse, we're seeing that by the intervention of a bona fide spiritual master, a personality who's mastered the material life and has mastered the spiritual life, and is an intermediate via medium by which we can work practically in the world and also perfect our life and attain spiritual perfection. So we're continuing today with this beautiful verse, Bhagavad Gita 2.7. Karpanya dosha prahata svabhava prichanti tvam dharma samudacheta yakshreya nishtita bruhi tanme shishyaste ham shadimam tvam praparnam. So translation. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. So see, Arjuna has finally come to the point to say, Krishna, I'm actually confused. Can you help me, please? And he's acknowledged what Krishna told him right in 2.2. Hridai dolabhya, you have weakness of heart, Arjun. That's why now he's saying, I've understood Krishna. It's weakness of heart, miserly weakness. So we see this is how the mind, at first it's angry, it's recalcitrant, it fights. It fights. And thereafter, when it realizes, no, you are actually right. You are saying the best. You are saying the best for my own good. And then it accepts it. So Arjuna's mind is now accepted. Yes, Krishna, please, you guide me then, please. So he continues, in this condition, I'm asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. So again, you see, the mind wants certainty. You want certainty in life so that you can carry on properly. Well, ask somebody who knows about life. Why do you think we call the guru a spiritual master? He's somebody who's mastered life as well. He knows about life. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So now he's finally become a disciple of Krishna. So finally Arjuna's mind comes under the control of his intelligence, and his intelligence is controlled by Krishna. So being confused is actually a sign of great intelligence. So this is a very high sign of intelligence, because confused means you are considering both material and spiritual. So you are marginal at the moment. You are on the margin, both sides. So from assessing from there, that's actually the opportunity of great potential, that a lot can come of that now. If we see Arjuna, before he wasn't even considering anything. He was just stuck in his ways and the way he understood life. Now, by taking the guidance of a spiritual master, he's actually considering another alternative. And as he hears from Krishna or the spiritual master, then he gradually understands this is a higher level of knowledge. It's a higher level of perception than what I'm perceiving from. So confusion is the best thing that can happen to you. So you're actually considering the Aryan culture. You actually want to become a better person. You want to have a better life. That is not an ordinary person who can come to terms with his weaknesses, realize, and then build on his strengths. That is not an ordinary person. And for me, the fact that you're watching this video, it tells me that you are such a person. So I really want to acknowledge that great strength in you. And what is it that the Guru gives? You know, devotees, we have this misconception. That Guru means blessings. What blessings? Make sure you give lot of blessings, Guru Maharaj, that everything goes well in my job. Give blessings, everything goes well in my health. Give blessings that children get married properly. These are all concerns. But is that what the Guru is there for? Guru's blessing is ajnana. Om ajnana timirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshur unmilitam yena tasmai Sri Guruve namaha. Guru Maharaj, open my eyes so I can see my ignorance. That is what Guru gives you. There's nothing higher than that. If you're asking Guru for anything else, it's not what he's there for. He's there to remove your ignorance. Om ajnana timirandasya. He removes your ignorance by giving you knowledge. He doesn't do anything else for you. He makes you see it as it is, not bigger than it is. It does, whatever it may be. If it's suffering, he'll let you see the suffering for what it is. As a process of life, see it, understand it, work with it, go through it, progress and move on. If it's suffering, if it's happiness, see happiness for what it is. When we romanticize it, that's when it becomes a problem. So for suffering, we demonize it. For happiness, we romanticize it. Oh, it's so good. So Guru doesn't flatter you in that way. He shows you really this is what it is. So this is the gift of the spiritual master. He removes your ignorance of what you're seeing the world as. That is the greatest gift you can give anyone. Because everything else is an event. He teaches you how to study and see life. See what birth is. See what growing up is. See what dwindling is. See what byproducts are. See what death is. He gives you the knowledge to see it, understand it. So you're not in the state that you are right now in, where you're completely shaken up. You can't make sense of what the pandemic is. That means you don't have knowledge. That means what the Guru has done for you. You took initiation. You have a spiritual master and you don't know how to handle life? That becomes an insult to the Guru. What is he teaching you? Are you just praying for him? Oh Guru Maharaj, please give blessings. Please give house, car, color TV. Om Jai Jagadisha Hare. That is not Guru's business. Guru, sadhu means heavy. What is he heavy about? He's only heavy on your mind. He doesn't mean harm to you. He's heavy on your mind because your mind is deceiving you. And he dispels your ignorance. He makes you see the world for what it is, not for bigger than what it is. And if you romanticize it and think, no, it's all good here. I got my families and friends and job and house and everything is nice. Then there'll come a time in life when all these things will be taken away. And if you built your identity on these things, can you imagine how much of pain you're going to go through? So he's saying, don't be ignorant. Om ajnana timirandasya. Don't be ignorant. Don't think that all these things are lasting. They're permanent. And you're building your whole life on these things. This is foolishness. This is Guru's job. It's an unpleasant job. Nobody likes it when somebody says these things. But it's the reality. It's the fact of life. See what Prabhupada is saying in the purport. And devotees, this is one of the most profound purports in the whole Bhagavad Gita. Please listen attentively to the sadhu. Prabhupada is speaking to us directly. Hear your guidance. You want help? You want guidance? You want to be relieved from the pain and suffering? Hear the sadhu. See what he's saying to you directly. Listen. He's saying, by nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. Again, nature's way. This is the process of life. It's nature's way. You haven't understood it. Therefore, you're feeling, why is God hard to me? You're feeling isolated because you built your identity on falsity. You built your identity on material life, not on spiritual life. Therefore, nature's way, it creates perplexity for you. Hear the sadhu's words. See what Prabhupada says here. In every step, there is perplexity. Therefore,
it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for the executing the purpose of life. Do you see what is the goal of spirituality? Is to make life practical. Is to make life practical. This is Bhagavad Gita. This is the purpose of life. Are you able to understand the process of life? Are you able to execute it to achieve the purpose of life? See what Prabhupada is saying here. Are you answering yes to these questions? Repose it to yourself and see how are you doing. Prabhupada is talking to you directly and he's saying, are you doing this? You are an initiated member of my institution. You are first initiated, second initiated. You have an illustrious guru that I've sent to you. Are you doing the process of life? Are you executing like this? Are you thinking like this? Or are you caught up in just the peripherals? Where is your Krishna consciousness? Wow, it's profound. It's very profound. Let's see what more Prabhupada is talking to us. All Vedic literature advise us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life. Is life perplexing you right now? Then you need a spiritual master. Oh, Prabhu, I already have a Guru Maharaj. Then what is he teaching you about life? What have you understood from him? Because he was supposed to dispel your darkness. So he's doing his part. Are you listening attentive enough to what he's saying? Oh, devotees, this is so hard. It's so difficult. Because we've just been misled by our mind, thinking we're practicing, thinking we're Hare Krishna devotees, but we totally misdirected ourselves. Although Guru again and again is guiding us, we are not listening with the heart. We're listening with the ears and the mind. And again the mind is deflecting these things that the Guru is helping us with. Let's see what Prabhupada says here. Which happen without our desire. So you see, when the pandemic is not, we didn't desire this, but it's happening without our desire. Why we can't handle it? Because we haven't equipped ourselves with the tools that the Guru has been giving us all along. So look at the reality. Take the whole pandemic situation, put it in this verse and read this verse and see what it's doing. It is completely bamboozling our mind. Look at what Prabhupada is saying here. Let's go on. Let's see what Prabhupada says more. They are like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that perplexities of life automatically appear. You see, why we caught off guard? Because we haven't understood that these perplexities automatically are there. We're not prepared for it. We are not following the Aryan culture. We are following the mind. And the mind builds on falsity. The mind builds on what it sees and what it hears, information on what it gets. This culture, this level of wisdom and knowledge is based on spiritual foundation, Aryan culture, guided by a pure devotee of Krishna, the spiritual master.